Good evening and welcome to Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Of prime interest tonight, two words that evoke a reaction: Donald Trump. While he's favored to win tomorrow's South Carolina primary, one of his fellow New Yorkers takes issue with both his style and substance. For more, we're pleased to be joined via telephone by Congressman Peter King. Pete, as always, we appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime. And I think you'd agree with me, the last 48 hours, the last 24 hours especially, have been very interesting. Pope Francis criticizing Donald Trump and eliciting among a lot of voters a sympathetic reaction to Mr. Trump. Pete, what's your reaction to the way this story unfolded, and what impact do you think this episode will have on the Republican race?
Well, JD, you're right about the last 24 hours. You and I have been around a lot of political scenes over the years. Every day is a new adventure this year, this campaign, and the last 24 hours, you would have thought it was a joke if you open up the newspaper this morning and you see Donald Trump versus the Pope versus Donald Trump, the Mexican government. I mean, all of this. No, I think, first of all, I'm a Catholic. I do think, though, that the Pope should have phrased what he was saying a lot differently. I can understand why he would have a different opinion from Donald Trump on this, but he could have said that the candidates should try to build bridges, they should try to reach out, not say what a Christian is or is not. I mean, you have people like Mayor de Blasio of New York, you have President Obama, who are strongly 100% pro-abortion, and yet they are, greeted by the Pope. The Pope is more than willing to meet with them. Having said that, and he's not saying that they're not Christians or that they're not acting as Christians. And in Catholic theology, abortion is a much more, in fact, it is. It's clearly wrong. It's morally wrong under Catholic teaching. Well, immigration and how you deal with immigration, that is subject to your judgment. So long as you're making an honest judgment, there is no exact right or wrong. There's no, and I mean, someone like Donald Trump, and I've had differences with Donald Trump lately, but on this issue, you can well say that building a wall is one way to save lives. It's going to save lives. It's going to be better for our country, in the long run, better for Mexico. So that's a prudential judgment. So, the Pope, I think, either he got tricked into it or for whatever reason, it was wrong the way he said it.
Peter, I've always appreciated your perspective. And when we served together in Congress in the days following 9/11, you offered a lot of first-hand insights into what was going on in the wake of the downing of the Twin Towers. As you think back, what was Donald Trump's reaction in the wake of 9/11, and how was he involved in the salvage efforts and the rebuilding efforts in New York?
JD, from all I know and from my recollection at the time is I never really saw Donald Trump being very much involved at all. He talks about having hundreds of friends of his who were killed, and I'm going to try to minimize anything. I'm not aware of funerals he went to or any efforts or causes he was involved in, including the 9/11 Health Act or anything really. Now, I'm sure there could have been some private donations he made, but he was certainly not an active force at all in New York after 9/11, as far as the whole world said Trade Center tragedy. And in fact, I never really heard him speak on it much at all. That's why I was really surprised and disappointed when he came out and somehow implied that George Bush was responsible or bore some responsibility for 9/11. And so it's, no, as far as I know, and my recollection at the time, I've been talking to people since then, we're not aware of really anything he was involved in after 9/11.
And so you feel it's important to offer your recollections, and your effort, you see it, is to write the record of those crucial days after that attack on our nation and on that attack on New York City in particular?
Yeah, JD, I really do. And I did see what President Bush did. I know the way he got personally involved. I know of the many families that he met with personally. And generally the rule, though, with President Bush is that from him at the time was not to be making public these meetings, not to be having any type of trying to get credit for meeting with different families, working with them. He authorized the $20 billion in aid to New York City afterwards to rebuild. He visited there a number of times. I was with him when he came down 3 days after 9/11 on September 14th, when he came on that Friday. And I know the families he stayed in contact with since then. So I know what this has meant to him and how personally he took it. And so when Donald Trump somehow in any way would malign President Bush for his efforts before, during, and after 9/11, it's just terribly wrong.
Final 30 seconds, Pete King. What do you think Donald Trump should say?
I think he should, first of all, issue an apology to President Bush. Said he got caught up in the force of the campaign, and he just said something he shouldn't have said. And he also shouldn't say that President Bush was lying about going into Iraq. And quite frankly, I found it interesting. Yes, last night he was saying what a great friend of Michael Jackson that he was, and to be saying great things about Michael Jackson, who, as far as I'm concerned, was a pedophile, the same week that he's calling President Bush a liar, is, to me, almost sacrilegious.
And we will have to leave it there. Congressman Peter King, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, J.D.